Saturday afternoon. My name is Mohammad, and on behalf of Baabul Ilm Education Society, I would like to thank you all for coming, especially the speakers. I'll very quickly introduce the society and then we'll go from there. So, the Baabul Ilm Education Society is a small non-profit registered Canadian charity organization. One of the objectives of the society is to help and encourage youth to go for good quality higher education. In this regard, the society over the past 7 years, this is our 7th year in operation, we have given away more than $75,000 of scholarships and awards to most deserving and outstanding senior high school students. In addition to the scholarship program, the society also organizes lectures, seminars and conferences on a variety of topics, mainly related to education, literature and on great events and personalities in the history. The idea is to enhance knowledge and awareness among the communities and bring them closer to each other.
Yes.
We also strive to promote a platform for interfaith dialogue and discussion, like the one we have today. Our aim is to promote respect and understanding between people of different cultures so that we develop strong communities in this beautiful part of Canada. We must find common grounds for our peaceful and respectful coexistence. Whenever a brazen act of racism or attack on a religious place of worship happens, we only hear from few community leaders. What about the general public? What forum do we have to convey our sentiments? What can we do so that racism and acts of violence do not divide us but bring us together? How should we understand our responsibilities in these times of growing division, intolerance and extremism? We hope that interfaith and multicultural events like today's can address such pressing issues and help promote dialogue and better understanding within our communities. So with that, I would like to thank you once again for coming, and I will very quickly run through the program today. We will start with the opening remarks by Dr. Mohammad, Consul General of Pakistan. This will be followed by a talk by Mr. Dr. Zareen, who is the Muslim chaplain at the University of British Columbia. Mr. Sultaniwal is not here, but hopefully by then he will be here. He will also give a talk. He is the Member of Parliament from Labour Party of Canada from Newton Surrey area. This will be followed by a speech by Ms. Mufti Shujat Ali Naqvi, a Muslim scholar. And the keynote address today is given by Dr. Jagjit Singh Sikha. And after that, we'll have a question and answer session. So you're free to ask questions, whatever question you have in your mind, but keep in mind to be respectful while you're asking your questions. And after the Q&A, Dr. Zareen Naqvi will give keynote address. So to begin with, he's here. Father Tim is also here. And he is the only person I can afford to skip. Otherwise, anyone else can slit my throat. I told him. So Father Tim is also going to express his views about.
There is no more father.
Pastor. Pastor Tim. So I would like to request Dr. Mohammad, Consul General of Pakistan, to please come and give his opening remarks. Please welcome.
And Assalamu Alaikum. Dr. Jagjit Singh Sikha, Mufti Shujat Ali Naqvi, Professor Islamic Religion Vancouver, Dr. Mohammad Akbar, Dr. Zareen Naqvi, Dr. Sayyid Nasir Zaidi, Muslim Chaplain, University of British Columbia, ladies and gentlemen. It is an extraordinary privilege for me to be here this afternoon to represent my country, Pakistan, on the occasion of 55th anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji's celebration at the Kwantlen Polytechnic University. I always feel at home at this particular university, and especially in this hall, which has been at the forefront to organize so many events over here. Thanks to Baabul Ilm Education Society, headed by Dr. Zareen Naqvi and Dr. Mohammad Akbar, who in the past have been such wonderful events. Thanks also to the Kwantlen Polytechnic University, which has been at the forefront in bringing communities together and creating awareness about an important topic of interfaith harmony. Ladies and gentlemen, while we celebrate the 55th birth anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji, let me add that today is the 142nd birth anniversary of Dr. Allama Muhammad Iqbal. I would like to begin by reciting two couplets of Allama Muhammad Iqbal he had written under the title of Nanak, which has been published in his book called Bangidara, the Marching Bell. The couplet of बुतकदा फिर बाद मुद्दत के मगर रोशन हुआ, नूरे इब्राहिम से आज़र का घर रोशन हुआ, फिर उठी आखिर सदा तौहीद की पंजाब से, हिंद को एक मर्द कामिल ने जगाया ख्वाब से। Allama Muhammad Iqbal has identified Baba Guru Nanak as an iconoclast and usher of a new world order, a candle illuminating the dark night, a leader taking his countrymen out of slumber and reviving a new spirit of life in them, a voice emanating from Punjab and spreading across the globe. Ladies and gentlemen, I have very scant understanding of his teaching, but I personally view Guru Nanak Dev Ji as a kind of personality who focused both on material as well as spiritual aspects of life. There are many stories about his life and death which speaks of the highest regard in which the followers of all religion, particularly Pakistani, hold him. His message has been of universal value, which promotes understanding and bridges among different cultures. He is the embodiment of unity. This particular celebration, 10,000 miles away, 10,000 kilometers away from his birthplace at the West Coast, attests to the universality of his message. We Pakistani highly value the contribution of Guru Nanak to the evolution of human understanding and society. Ladies and gentlemen, 55th birthday anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji is not just symbolic, it has deeper connotation. It is incumbent upon all of us to propagate his message of goodwill and the messages of goodwill created by the founding fathers of all the religion. Their messages assume far greater significance in today's world more than before. As you all know, Pakistan is the birthplace of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji. According to Mr. Amardeep Singh, author of the Sikh Legacy in Pakistan, there are thousands of places of religious significance of Sikh community in more than 126 places in Pakistan, besides three major sites including Nankana Sahab, Darbar Sahab and Panja Sahab. These are Gurdwaras, monuments, Havelis, frescoes, forts. The government of Pakistan considers it not just Sikh heritage but Pakistan's own cultural heritage. These heritage sites bring us closer to the Sikh community all over the world. Ladies and gentlemen, to celebrate 55th anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji, the government of Pakistan has taken a number of steps to facilitate pilgrims. These are the opening of the Kartarpur corridor, which is a milestone in the history. This is the place where Guru Nanak Dev Ji had spent a large slice of his life. This huge complex spreading over an area of 42 acres, which is the biggest Gurdwara in the world, provides all facilities to more than 5,000 pilgrims at one time, has been completed in a record period of 11 months. As you all know, this was the initiative of the government of Pakistan led by Prime Minister Imran Khan, and subsequently it was endorsed by India. You might have seen the news report emanating from both from Pakistan and India about the corridor. The Prime Minister, in his inaugural speech, said that lessons can be drawn from Guru Nanak teachings are bringing people together. A true leader is the one who always brings people together and does not spread hate to gain votes. He mentioned about the recent lockdown in Kashmir, about the government of India's action of 5th August, and said, I foresee a day when the hatred that has been spread in the subcontinent for the past 70 years, especially due to Kashmir dispute, will be no more. To facilitate the pilgrims to celebrate 55th birth anniversary, the government of Pakistan has also waived off pilgrims from carrying passports prior notice of 10 days to visit Kartarpur corridor and service charges on pilgrims on 9th and 10th November. To facilitate the pilgrims from Canada and other countries, visa requests from Sikh pilgrims are expeditiously processed. Visas were issued to all the pilgrims in less than a week time. The requirement of prior clearance of the Ministry of Interior for Indian passport holders residing abroad and intending to visit Pakistan for pilgrimage has been exempted. Consulate of Pakistan in Vancouver alone has issued around 1,000 visas to Sikh pilgrims. This is record in one particular season as far as I know. And Dr. Khan is here. I think he just got visa for his sister. I don't know if he had some problem or not, but I hope everything went very well. The government of Pakistan has also issued commemorative postage stamps and coins to celebrate 55th birth anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Ladies and gentlemen, another important milestone in the history of Pakistan and Pakistan's relation with the Sikh community is the laying of the foundation stone of Guru Nanak University at Nankana Sahib by the Prime Minister Imran Khan on 28 October. The university would house 5,000 to 10,000 students from all over the world. More than 10,000 Sikh pilgrims are attending the event from all over the world. Former Indian Prime Minister Manmohan Singh and Minister of the Government of Punjab and former cricketer Navjot Sidhu have also participated in the inauguration of the corridor. One point which I must mention are the apprehensions expressed by Sikh diaspora abroad about the possible uprooting of the trees and old heritage site. I would like to add here that the construction was not planned by the government of Pakistan itself. Its master plan is executed by the 9 members committee, which comprise 4 from Canada and I think 1 from Vancouver. Prime Minister and the government of Pakistan's vision of facilitating the Sikh pilgrim would not only bring Pakistan and Sikh community across the globe, but also pave the way for promotion of tourism, especially religious tourism. I'm sure these kind of events organized by the Baabul Ilm Education Society, especially at the Kwantlen Polytechnic University, would go a long way in promoting interfaith harmony and build bridges of understanding between different religions and culture. I once again would like to thank you all for being here at this university. My special thanks goes to Dr. Akbar and Dr. Zareen Naqvi, who have been making great efforts in bringing communities together and trying to build bridges of understanding, which is the teaching of Guru Nanak Dev Ji and to all other religion. Thank you, Baabul Ilm Education Society. Thank you, everybody, and happy 55th birthday anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji to all of you. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Tariq, for a very nice brief summary of what the government of Pakistan has done. On this special occasion, this is the 550th birth anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji. The next speaker is Dr. Nasir Zaidi, who graduated from Hauze Ilmiya Qom, where he studied from 1984 to 1996. He did Masters in Arabic language from the University of Punjab in Pakistan. Dr. Nasir Zaidi holds a PhD degree in Islamic philosophy and theology from the Department of Ilahiyat from the University of Tehran in Iran. Back home in Pakistan, he served as assistant professor at the International Islamic University Islamabad, visiting professor in Bonn University, Germany, and Director General Research, Council of Islamic Ideology, Islamabad. After coming to Canada, he did diploma in psychosocial rehabilitation and received clinical pastoral education at Vancouver General Hospital. Currently, he is serving as Research Associate, Vancouver School of Theology, Muslim Chaplain, University of British Columbia, and as Muslim Spiritual Care Professional at Vancouver General Hospital. Today, he will talk about, of course, Baba Guru Nanak. Please welcome Dr. Nasir Zaidi.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. First of all, I am thankful to the Baabul Ilm Society, and I really appreciate for holding such a very important seminar on the very important topic. And I also congratulate to the Sikh community for the 550th birth anniversary of Baba Guru Nanak. And also, this is a great happiness for all the Sikh communities of the world now, and even the people in the world. So they are so happy for opening the corridor, Kartaspur corridor in Pakistan, and this is a great historical event. And especially I mentioned this because we can feel this, and we can really understand well that before this opening of this Kartaspur, so how was your feeling and how was your desperately you wanted to go for the pilgrimage, for ziyarat, and you were not able to go. It's just like, for example, if we are not able to go to Medina, we are not able to go to Shrine. So what will happen? So we will not be able to, especially for our spiritual development. So it's extremely important. So I am also personally, I'm very happy that now you are able to go and you will be able to purify yourself. This will be your spiritual journey. This will be your spiritual advancement. So today I am going to talk on very important issue, and I'm also why I'm very thankful to this community and Baabul Ilm Society for holding this seminar, because this encouraged me and motivated me to study and to read something about Guru Nanak. And I never got this opportunity in my life to study him, to see the teachings of Guru Nanak. And then now I am so happy that I found a lot of beautiful moral, ethical, theological issues that I have never thought that Sikh belief system is such a deep belief system. So really I'm very impressed. So I'm so happy also, and I will hopefully continue my research on the teachings of Guru Nanak, and I will be able to hopefully produce something and then from philosophical and theological perspective, because so many things are there that I think that we need to further expand whatever Guru Nanak has said. So today I am going to speak on very important topic. The topic is image of God and human suffering in the view of Baba Guru Nanak. So image of God and the issue of human suffering. This is my topic and this is my issue that I'm going to discuss today. First thing that I want to mention here is that when Guru Nanak talks about the human suffering, it means that all of us are experiencing in our life problems, difficulties, afflictions. So no one can say that I'm not facing any problem in my life. So we are always facing difficulties, problems, calamities, and we are suffering sometimes in our life. So all of us are. This is not only related to Muslim world, but each and every community, even whether religious community or non-religious community, all are searching for the answer of this question, that how we can cope with the suffering and problems and difficulties we are experiencing in our life. So this is why it was very important for me to see deeply what Guru Nanak is talking and saying and what coping strategies he is mentioning in his teaching. So first thing is he's saying that the nature of this world where we are living, we always facing problems. You know, sometimes we are praying, we Muslims are praying, you are also praying that to get rid of difficulties of our life, hardships that we are experiencing. But Guru Nanak, according to my understanding, is also saying that you will face problems and difficulties. If you are able to resolve one hardship, one issue in your life, the other issue will start. So it means that you have to change your perspective. You have to change your approach towards the painful situation or whatever the problems and difficulties you are facing in your life. So this is one thing that he's saying, that this world is not without pain. Pain is always there, suffering is always there. And then he is also giving the philosophy that why we are always in pain, we always facing difficulties and hardships in our life. And this is very philosophical issue. I cannot go into the details, but Guru Nanak says that each and everything is changing in this world. There is no constant value. This world is impermanent. There is no, this is temporal nature. This is always changing. My thoughts are changing. My feelings are changing. Whatever we have in our life, each and everything is changing. When the change is there, then we can relate it to the problems and difficulties of our life. Without going into the detail, I just want to mention here that in this world, the world of change, we don't have pure happiness. We don't have pure sadness. When we are happy, at the same time we are receiving sad news. If we are sad, at the same time we are receiving good news. So you see, in this world, this sadness and happiness is always there. So we don't have this pure aspect of our pleasure and our sadness. But I also understand that in hospital setting, we better understand this statement that pain is inevitable because something is going to happen, maybe we are becoming sick or something else. So this is a pain that we are always having, this pain. But what about suffering? Suffering is not inevitable. Suffering is optional. It is up to us whether we suffer or not. It is up to us whether we are distressful or not. So if we can control it, we can handle this one. So this is what I understood from the teachings of Guru Nanak, that we can control our suffering, but pain is not in our hand. Something can happen, but we know how to get rid of distressful situation or the crisis we are facing in our life. So when he is also saying that If we are not able to get rid of our suffering, this is because of our ignorance. If we have better understanding about this world, about the nature of this world, if we have good spiritual approach towards the events and the worthless of this world, then we can better understand our suffering, and then we can better handle this one. And this is why he's saying, he's using very important word. He's saying life is full of meaningless suffering. What does it mean? Why is saying meaningless? So deep philosophy is there. So it means there is a deep relation between our suffering and meaningfulness or meaninglessness. The more our life is meaningless, the more we are suffering. The more we have meaningfulness in our life. Meaningfulness means that, for example, there are two types of people, for example. So, some are just thinking that we are born only for this world, and after that we will be vanished. So if they are facing hardships, then how they can handle this hardship? How they can face this suffering? So they have worldly things. So these are limited. They cannot help them. But for example, if someone is there who believe in for example, God, who has a meaningfulness in his life. So this is a strength and sources of strength. The more I am meaningful, the more I have sources of strength in my hand. So I can handle this one. Oh, so he says that he's mentioning very important point. He's saying normally if you ask people, what is the objective of your life? What is the aim of your life? So everyone is saying that I want to be a happy person. I want pleasure in my life. This is very easy question to say that I want happiness. And all of us are doing this one. But there is a more important question. And we are not paying attention to this question. The question is that how much I am ready to bear the difficulties and problems in my life. For example, if I am helping other people, if I am really serving humanity, if I am refraining myself from sinful life, if I want to be an honest person, if I want to be a good human being in the society, so it is not easy task. So we have to bear this suffering, this difficulty in your life. So how much I am ready to tolerate or bear, or how much I can observe the patience. So this is what he is also mentioning. Now, next stage is about what is the solution of our suffering. And here he is mentioning three very important stages. And I am really being a student of philosophy for several years, and I have done my PhD in everything I have been teaching. And I'm so impressed to see what really he's saying. Still, we need a lot of lectures on this issue. That how he's relating few important theological principles, that if we are using these principles, we can handle our hardships. So first thing he's saying that if you are a truthful person, then you can face suffering in your life, you can remove suffering from your life. But truthfulness is very important. Because when you are truthful, what does it mean that I am a truthful person? It means that there is a harmony in my heart, in my spirit, in my soul. If I don't have this harmony, for example, if someone is truthful, why we say you are telling the truth? We say because I want to say that whatever you are thinking and whatever you are saying, so both are, there is a harmony between this. So I say that you have this one. But I want to give another example. Because as a human being, if we pay attention to ourselves, our soul, so we will see that we have three levels. We have three aspects. One aspect is thinking aspect, logical aspect, that we are thinking, we are pondering over in our life. The second aspect is not our thinking aspect, but related to our feelings, our emotions, and our sentiments. This is second aspect. This is nothing to do about our feeling. The third aspect is related to our desires. Sometimes we want to do something, we have willpower, we have irada. So this is third aspect of our life. So, for example, I will just give you an example, but he is saying that sadaqat means there should be a harmony between us. For example, I hate someone, I feel enmity with someone, but when I am speaking to this person, I am showing that I am your friend, and I am praising and admiring this person. So it means that I am not truthful, I am not doing justice, I am not honest person. So this is why Baba Guru Nanak is saying that if we are not truthful person, if we don't have harmony inside, then we will cause hardships for others, we will cause suffering for ourselves. Because when we are lying, when we are deceiving people, when we are betraying people, we are causing problems for ourselves. But if, for example, I am a truthful person, so I will have spiritual happiness, even it is not in my benefit. But I am happy that I am not telling a lie. I am happy. So this spiritual happiness is the highest level of happiness. This is different from the worldly happiness. Because of some materialistic things I am becoming happy. But spiritual happiness is because I am a truthful person. This is why I am happy. So this kind of happiness means that if suffering is there, our happiness will prevail and overcome. So this is what he basically is mentioning. This is why we have a beautiful saying of our spiritual leader in Shia Muslim community, who is infallible Imam, sixth Imam, Imam Sadiq alayhi salam. He says, he has a beautiful saying about that. And I want to relate something, whatever we have in Islam, in Quran, and in the Sikh community, that he is saying, someone asked Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, to how to evaluate people. If we want to know that whether this person is good or bad, you know what Imam Sadiq alayhi salam said? He said, don't see this person that he is doing lot of good things in the world. This is not a criteria. And they said, don't see that he's praying a lot. He is going to Kalisa, churches, he is going to worship places, he is going to Gurdwara, he is going to mosque. Don't see this. It doesn't mean that if I am going for prayer, I am going to mosque, I am going to church, I am going to Gurdwara. It doesn't mean that I am a good person. Sometimes, so we are being deceived by these kind of people because we think, oh, this person is going to Gurdwara, this must be very honest, but this person is not honest. So Imam Sadiq alayhi salam says, you have to see two things. These two things are truthfulness and trustworthiness. If you know that this person is truthful, because in truthfulness, you cannot become hypocrite. You cannot show yourself that your apparent aspect is different and your inner aspect is different. Either you are truthful or you are not truthful. So this is why this aspect is important. So next point relating to the truthfulness, and I am extremely really inspired what he is saying, and it is extremely important for all of us to pay attention to this. He is saying that how we can be truthful person. This is another very beautiful question, because if we know, and we have this understanding, the more we are truthful, the more we are human, the more we are good person, we are serving the community and everything we are doing. But how we can be a truthful person? This is also really, he says that without the connectedness to God, without connecting ourselves to God, you cannot become truthful person. This is what he's saying, and he said that God should always be there because of two reasons I'm going to mention what basically he's saying. So he is saying that God is not outside your personality. God is in your heart. God is in your soul. If you are not practically connected to God, if you are not feeling the presence of God in your life, then you cannot become truthful person. Why? Then first thing is, he says that when you have God in your life, then at least, he's not saying this, but this is my interpretation, how to explain this one. When God is with me, I'm connected to God practically, not the God who is in my mind. Guru Nanak is saying this very beautifully. He's saying that this God is not helping us. God, there are two types of approaches. For example, most of us like this, that God in my mind is not helping me. But if God is in my heart, this God is helping me. If God is in my soul, this God is helping me. But if theoretically I am good to give you the proofs of divine existence, if philosophically I am very expert, I am professor, I am lecturer, I am researcher, this God is not helping me in practical life. If I am in crisis, this God is not helping me. This is what Guru Nanak is saying, that if this God is in your heart, you are connected to God, practically you are feeling the presence of God in your life, then it means that it can help you. So now, for example, I am facing difficulties, problems in my life. But if I know that God is seeing me, this is happening in the presence of God, then it can provide me comfort and relief. Because I know that I am not alone. Because loneliness is a cause of suffering, and it is intensifying our suffering. So when God is with me, when the presence of God is there, when practically I am experiencing God in my life, and I have seen some even young girls in the hospital, how much connectedness to God was helping them in the hospital. And it was astonishing experience for me that we are giving a lot of lectures on God, but this God is not helping me when I am sick, when I am ill, when I have problems. So this is what exactly Guru Nanak is mentioning, and he is saying that the other thing is why God is required, why connectedness to God is important. Because I can be truthful if I don't believe in God. But this truthfulness will be very limited. Why it will be very limited? Because I am truthful because I have a fear of law. I have a fear of police. I have a fear that I will be caught somewhere if I am doing wrong. So this is why, or if, for example, I know that someone is not there to see me, my community is not there, police is not there, law is not there, so why, something is in my benefit. So why I should tell the truth? I should lie, I should betray, I should deceive other person. So this is why, if God is there, what does it mean? If God is there, it means that if nobody is there, law is not there, police is not there, but my God is there who is seeing me. So in my private life, in my privacy, when community is not there, society is not there, human beings are not there, but I have still, even if something is going against me and not in my benefit, again it will be important for me. Before God, in the presence of God, I should show my honesty. And this honesty, the word honesty I am using, I have seen in the teachings of Guru Nanak. Maybe another time I can speak a lot on this issue. What he is saying about honesty, he is emphasizing a lot on honesty. And unfortunately, in our society, what we are experiencing, each and every place, we see that there is a dishonesty. We see that you are not going to get your rights. People are snatching your rights. Even you deserve something, but you see that there is no honesty. They are saying something to you. They are praising you. They are admiring you. They are but appreciating you. But their heart are different. They are doing against your will, whatever they are doing. So this honesty is not a simple thing. This is very delicate, very subtle, very difficult to become honest person in our life. So what he is saying, another thing about how we can cope with our problems and difficulties. This is excellent point. He is saying that there is only one way. And we have also in Quran that if you want to provide comfort to yourself, if you want to provide relief to yourself, no worldly thing can help you. If you have lot of money, you have lot of wealth, you have very nice and high position in your life, whatever you want, but you are suffering. But the comfort of heart and the tranquility of heart is only possible in the remembrance of God. If God is not, the remembrance of God is not in your life, you are not remembering God in your life. And these are the words of Guru Nanak, that he is saying the essence of religion. So what is the essence of religion? He is saying the essence of religion is to motivate people when you are in the society and people are seeing you, people are observing you, and after observing you, they are remembering God. Then they are asking you that how, to whom you are following and adhering, why you have such a high morality and ethics and humanity. So you see how much this is important. So Guru Nanak is saying here another point, principle that we can handle our problems and difficulties and we can cope with this. He's saying that there is only one way, which is submission to the will of God. For example, I'm just going to give example, that after putting my all effort, so we are working hard in this world, but we are not achieving our goals. So when we are not achieving our goals, and we have done whatever we can do, nothing from our part left, but then this is causing problems, difficulties, and stress for us, depression for us. But he's saying, no. Now this is the time that you should be submissive to the will of God, that God has decided for you to have this or not. Each and everything you are not supposed to achieve. Something was not for you from the day first. God has not determined this thing for you. And this is why he's saying that if I know that, for example, something I could not achieve this goal, I have done my hard work, or I struggled for this, I strived for this, but I was not able to. Now I will have the tranquility of heart because I have submission to my God. My God doesn't want me to have this thing. So this is what he is saying, very important thing. So the Guru Nanak is basically saying that we need to pay attention to the practical aspect of God, not the theoretical aspect only. So practically, presence of God is important. And at the same time, he is mentioning another beautiful principle and point, that he is saying that God is in itself even not enough for you. You need to transcend yourself with the help of God. So transcendental aspect in our life, I will just give you one example, then we will better come to know that what he's saying. For example, I don't know about, for example, city of Lahore. I never heard about this. Someone is coming and saying me that there is a city which is Lahore. So now you come to know that yes, you came to know that this is Lahore. But this information is not elevating you. This information is just for your information. This has increased your information. But if you know about some other kind of information, like you know that God is there, Prophet is there, or some other spiritual issues you know, so they are elevating you. You feel uplifted. You feel that you have transcended yourself. So transcendental aspect is important, that we will have spiritual purification, we will have spiritual development through this very important concept. Guru Nanak said that this creation is the manifestation of God. God has, you see what he's saying? Guru Nanak is saying that God has revealed himself through His creation. God has manifested Himself through His creation. What does it mean? I'm not going into the detail, the mystic aspect and the philosophical aspect of this thing, but very important message we can get. Guru Nanak is saying, when God has created everything, why? The philosophy of creation, the goal of creation is that God wanted to reveal Himself so that you know God. What does it mean? It means that when we see each and everything in this world, these are the signs of God. It means that it is expected from us. Even in the area of education, we are in the university. If I am a student of medical science, and this medical science is not leading me towards God, towards divine direction. So it means that we have not understood the philosophy of the creation of this world. God is saying that you have to see, and we have a beautiful verse in Quran, in Arabic, Allahu Nuru Samawati wal Ard, that God is a light of heavens of this and the earth. So when there is a light and nur, and what does it mean? So when we have nur, so we should be able to see the nur, light. So if we are not able to see the light, it means there is a problem. It means there is a veils, materialistic veils, worldly desires. Materialistic desires are not allowing us to see God. So this is what Guru Nanak is saying. And from interfaith aspect, he's saying such an excellent aspect. Even only my understanding, because of this principle introduced by Guru Nanak, only Sikh community qualify for the interfaith in real sense. Can you imagine what I am saying? Not we as a Muslim, not Christians, not Jews. I am very clear about that. Why? Because we are claiming that salvation and prosperity is only with us Muslims. If you are Muslim, you will be there will be salvation after death, and then you will have the prosperity, you will have the success. And we are saying this truth is only before us. We have all the truth and we have right thing. And Christians are also claiming, they are also saying that salvation is only with Christianity. But there are some difference of opinion. I'm going into detail. Only in Islam there is a way out. But Guru Nanak is saying, he's not saying that truth is only with us. Yeah. So he's saying that other religions, they may have also truth. And Nijat and salvation will also be for other communities, for other religious traditions, not only for Sikhism. And he is saying about religion, he's saying that it is not good thing to have blind attachment to your religion. When you want to become religious person, if you want to become Sikh, if you are Muslim, if you are Christian, you should know about Christianity. You should know about Islam. You should have deep understanding about your religion. Not because of circumstances, not because of environment, not because your parents were sick, you are sick. No, this is not enough. This is not acceptable. You have to understand the truth you have in your community, in your faith. So he is saying that religion should be with deep understanding. And then he is also saying, we have rituals, so we have understanding about that. So rituals are good, but Guru Nanak is saying, you should not be ritualistic person. If you are involved in rituals, you are going Gurdwara, we are going to mosque, so there are so many rituals that we are doing. But rituals are always good. Why they are good? Because rituals are manifestation of my belief system. How you will understand that I am Muslim? How you will understand I am saying, if you are not going to Gurdwara, who will understand? So he is saying that we should also have these rituals with wisdom and with understanding of the basic philosophy behind this. Because if we are just ritualistic person, it means that we are involved in rituals, and these rituals are not helping us to purify us, to develop us, and spiritually enrich us. But if we know the philosophy behind the rituals and we are not stuck in the rituals, then they are going to help us, and then they can elevate us and they can transcend it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nasazari, for your detailed discussion on Baba Guru Nanak. And before I call upon the next speaker, my dean, my boss is here, the Dean School of Business, Kwantlen Polytechnic University. And because of the confusion of the time change last Sunday, we changed the program we usually have the program starts at 2 o'clock, we started at 1 o'clock. But the change of time was not conveyed to her, so she was thinking that the program will start at 2. So she's a little late, but I have requested her to give a 2-minute welcome comments to you. So please welcome Stephanie House, the Dean School of Business.
Well, welcome to KPU. Yes, my name is Stephanie House. I'm the Dean of School of Business, and I work with Dr. Akbar. Wonderful colleague, by the way, and I'm really pleased to have been invited to today. And I was listening just now, and what crossed my mind, my background is in nursing. I used to be a registered nurse. And although I may not go to church, I was born Christian, but I may not attend church now, I have to say that there is an undeniable God. When I've had the honor of being in the presence of people who pass away, I've been in the honor and presence of babies being born, that I've seen the beginning and the end, and I cannot tell you there is that unexplained sense of spirituality when a person passes away. It's in the room, you can feel it, and when a baby is born, it is the same thing. And it is an honor to be there, so it's an undeniable presence of God. I also feel, as practicing in the health sciences, there may be those empirical scientific pieces that are in the daily practice of nursing. However, when you have unexplained miracles of healing that science cannot explain, it's undeniably God. And I don't maybe see it as one particular religion in a way of looking at God, but I feel God every day because it's in our happiness, it's in our love for others, it's in our animal kingdom as well. Watching my cat, I sometimes think, oh, there's things in there that are unexplainable. A personality in an animal like that, that's God. So I want to thank you and all the guests for coming here today, because I think it's a fantastic idea to hear from different religions, to remind us we're actually more alike than we are different in the ways that we see this world. And quite frankly, without love and connection, when we get together like this as human beings, it reminds us we're in this together in this life, and let's make the best of it. So thank you for coming today, and again, thank you, Mohammad, for inviting me. It's a real honor, and I apologize for my lateness. Thank you.
The next speaker is Pastor Tim. Pastor Tim has been lead pastor at Peace Mennonite Church in Richmond from 2003 to 2015. Currently is serving in Chinatown Peace Church as a pastor of the English congregation. Prior to becoming an ordinal pastor, Tim taught Christian studies in Zimbabwe, Ontario, and Minnesota. Pastor Tim has also taught theology for several years to young Christian leaders in Zimbabwe. He is passionate about building bridges and relationships with friends of other faith persuasions. Pastor Tim holds Master of Divinity degree from Regent College, Vancouver, on the campus of University of British Columbia. Pastor Tim and Sandra have 3 young adult sons. Today he will be talking about, of course, Baba Guru Nanak. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Pastor Tim.
gentlemen, scholars, clergy, and fellow searchers of the truth, of God's truth. It's an honor to be invited to speak with you briefly this afternoon on a Christian perspective on Baba Guru Nanak on the occasion of his 555th, is that right, birthday. I come to you as a non-specialist, really as a fledgling amateur. The unfortunate truth is that too many of us Christians do not know enough about Baba Guru Nanak. I have so much to learn this afternoon. I grew up in rural southern Ontario on a farm, surrounded by people who basically looked like me and basically believed pretty much what I did. Because I grew up in a traditional Amish Mennonite community, we didn't even have TV or radio, so I didn't even see Sikhs in the media. Now I've learned that Sikh means disciple, which is the name that we Christians also had originally, which means we too are, you could say, Sikhs, disciples, though Sikhs of Jesus rather than Sikhs of Nanak. So my talk is sort of if Baba Guru Nanak and Jesus sat down together, let's say at Tim Hortons, what would their conversation look like? It makes sense for us to gather here as three monotheistic faiths. With our Sikh and Muslim friends, we Christians affirm the Mul Mantra, or the fundamental creed of Sikhism, from the opening of the Guru Granth Sahib. There exists but one God, who is called the True, the Creator, free from fear and hate, immortal, not begotten, self-existent, great and compassionate. Yes. In my 20s, when we lived in Zimbabwe for several years, I did meet Indians, though Hindus, I believe. I'm sorry to say it was not until I was in my 30s, when we moved here to Vancouver, that I encountered my first Sikh neighbor. What wonderful neighbors they were. We purchased our first home in Richmond beside a lovely Sikh family, and across the street, another wonderful Sikh couple. And then just down the street, behind our church where I was pastor, another extended Sikh family. The grandfather cared for the rear access of our church, which had been closed off to vehicles. He made the laneway beautiful with flowers and shrubs. He swept the pavement there year after year, turned the area into a whole beautiful manicured garden. And he cared for us in that way. When we organized a neighborhood barbecue potluck for our street, it was our Sikh neighbors who always lavished us with far too much food, amazing food. I remember one barbecue, our neighbor across from us brought over so much marinated tandoori chicken, it completely filled up both of our large barbecues. There was no room for any other meat. But we didn't want any other meat. It was so delicious, that chicken was. I soon learned that these disciples, these Sikhs of Baba Guru Nanak, are outrageously generous, gracious and kind, especially toward the needy, the lowly. Just go to one of your gurdwaras anytime, any day of the year. There's so much welcome, so much incredible generosity, so much food for all, no matter who we are, no matter what we believe. Guru Nanak is considered the greatest prophet of humility, prophet of the poor, the downtrodden, the outcasts, the untouchables, of the lepers and the sick. Castes were abolished under Sikhism. Every man is a Singh, right? A lion. Every woman a car or a princess. I apologize for not pronouncing these names very well. Please bear with me. In the scriptures of the Sri Guru Granth Sahib 15, Nanak is the companion of the lowest of the low and of the condemned lot. He has nothing in common with the highborn. A text like that resonates deeply with me, a disciple of Jesus. Our Lord Jesus, too, was friend of the destitute and the oppressed. Jesus was even known as friend of sinners, forgiving and merciful toward those who had failed, those who had messed up, the shamed, the humiliated, the downtrodden, and the outcast. One of the great challenges for us Christians is that while Jesus was gentle and humble of heart, meek, so often Jesus' followers have been the opposite. We have a long and sad history of arrogance and egoism and of violence. We who claim the name of gentle Jesus have too often partnered with the ruthless powers of colonialism to impose our way upon many different nations, races, and faiths. This is particularly true, as you know, in the birthplace of Sikhism, whether in Pakistan or India. The nation of India and Pakistan have both suffered much violence from colonialists who claimed the name of Jesus, the humble, gentle Jesus who proclaimed peace, right? Jesus who said, love your enemies, do not pick up the sword, turn the other cheek in the face of violence. Interfaith conversation wants to respond to this challenge of violence and exclusion. As we've already heard, there's so much in common among the teachings of Baba Guru Nanak, the Prophet Mohammad, Messiah Jesus. We are monotheistic faiths. We all believe there is one Creator God who is perfect and just. Messiah Jesus, Prophet Mohammed, Baba Guru Nanak all declared they were sent by this one God to show us the way of salvation, that is the path to God. Now, here, as already has been mentioned by Dr. Zaidi, Muslims and Christians have a special challenge. Muslims believe that God has revealed the path to eternal life, specifically through the Prophet Muhammad, as the greatest and the final prophet. And yet for us Christians, as you probably know, to set another human being above our Lord Jesus, the Messiah, as later and greater, well, for us, that's impossible. Our Sikh brothers and sisters, as we've heard, believe that there may be many different paths to God. Live well, pray to God the best you know how, learn from the holy men and women of your own faith, and you should be okay. May God accept you. And that's a tolerant perspective, and it's not exclusive, it's not judgy. We have too much of that. Now, I know my Muslim brothers and sisters will agree with me that we don't want to be intolerant, we don't want to be judgy either. We're deeply disturbed when violence and exclusion is perpetrated in the name of our faiths. Is this perhaps why Muslims and Christians in particular have been so committed to interfaith conversation? I want to say again, thank you, Dr. Akbar, for continuing this conversation, for your amazing leadership in this. So here's the question, do we need to abandon our faith? Can we still believe God has opened up a highway to eternal life? Is it possible for us to disagree on this fundamental tenet of our faith, the true path to God? And can we still be good neighbors? Can we still humbly listen and learn from each other? Can we still talk about God and what it means to be human and in the image of God together? Can we dialogue about God's way of salvation together and really listen to what the other is saying? Well, isn't that why we're here together this afternoon? Why do we need God's path of salvation? Baba Guru Nanak taught brilliantly about the 5 diseases of the human soul, the 5 thieves, he called them, who steal from us our very humanity: attachment or moh, conceit, ahankar, lust, kama, rage, krodh, and greed or lobh. Have I really messed up those words? No. Over the years, we struggled together, Sikhs and Christians, in our community in Richmond with these 5 thieves. Our church has this large parking lot behind it with entrances on both sides. And we struggled with the drug activity in the shelter behind the church, our concerns with gun violence, with kama, krodh, lobh. Finally, we decided to put up gates at both entrances. Those 5 terrible thieves were not only stealing our Christian and our Sikh young people, they also brought us together. We knew that gates are not the final answer. We knew that even policing isn't the answer. Even better teaching could not be the final answer. What is the answer to this deep and chronic sickness in my own human heart? May I yet just speak as a disciple or a Sikh of Jesus. I'm so very grateful for all of the good spiritual teachers. And yet I know I need more than just knowledge in my head, as we already heard. I need a cure for my soul. My sin and my failures overpower and overwhelm me. Who can heal me from these evil diseases that corrode my heart and make my soul sick? Who can rescue me from these 5 thieves that rob my very humanity? Jesus' words ring true for me here. On my own, I cannot overcome these terrible thieves that break in and destroy my life. I need God's healing for the deadly disease that is poisoning my humanity. I need forgiveness. I need grace. I need God to do for me what I cannot do for myself. More even, perhaps, than a wise teacher from the past, I need a living Savior today who says to me, "Come to me, I'm meek and lowly, humble in heart. I will touch you and make you whole. I am the way. I am the truth. I am eternal life." For me as a Christian, a disciple of Jesus, the life and the legacy of the great and yet humble Baba Guru Nanak is also a tribute. It's a signpost pointing to the humility of God. God who has come to us in humble human flesh, laying down his own life, sacrificing himself for us, to do for us what we could not do for ourselves. Not to tell us just to stop doing bad or stop sinning, but actually to heal the disease of our sin for us. I was on the path to death. Jesus gave his life to put me on the highway of life for God. That's something we can talk about. I just want to say, as a Christian, praise be to God. Thank you for listening.
This is the beauty and the significance of these interfaith events. When we picked the personality of Baba Guru Nanak for today's talk, I did a little bit of reading about him, and I was really amazed and surprised to read, and his sayings are so much similar to the sayings of Imam Ali or Prophet Muhammad, or as Pastor Zareen mentioned about similar to Jesus. So this is, you see, this is really disheartening to see the littleness of the audience in the room, but I'm so really happy that we picked that topic, and at least they forced me to read about Baba Guru Nanak. So I have a greater understanding of the Sikh religion, and like we have done about other religions also. So this is the beauty of picking this personalities for interfaith. So the next speaker is Mufti Shujaat Ali Naqvi. He is the Imam at the Masjid al-Haq, the mosque in Vancouver, BC. His long line of credentials include a bachelor's degree in Islamic sciences from the renowned Islamic University, Darul Uloom Nadwatul Islam in Lucknow. He has master's degree in Islamic jurisprudence from the University Islamic Research Institute in Hyderabad. He is a member. He asked me to be brief, but I'm not going to be brief, so he's here, so don't mind. Okay. So he is a member of the Religious Board of British Columbia Muslim Association and Community Network, Canadian Race Relations Foundation. He was nominated as Ambassador for Peace by the Universal Peace Federation in 2006. Member of Muslim, Christian and Jewish Trialogue Committee, and participant in various multi-faith activities in Vancouver. So ladies and gentlemen, he's already here, but you can still welcome him.
And I'm very honored and humbled to be here this afternoon in front of so many wonderful speakers and guests and participants. They say the one who gets to speak at the end is barely left with any idea to share. Since all the thoughts that you generally process in your mind to speak about is taken away already. Nonetheless, as I have been asked to share my reflection and my thoughts on this great personality, please bear with me if I repeat something that you already have heard. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim, alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen, wa salatu wa salamu ala Sayyidina Muhammad wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa man tabi'ahum bi ihsanin wa da'a li da'watihim ila yawmiddin wa ba'd. سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم اللهم علمنا ما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما وعملا يقربنا إليك يا رب العالمين اللهم إني أعوذ بك من أن أضل أو أضل أزل أو أزل أظلم أو أظلم أجهل أو يجهل علي آمين. Generally, this is how we begin our sermons and our talk discourses to seek the guidance of God, since our discussion is pretty much about the religious figures and their religious teachings. At the outset, I want to mention two things before I get to the topic. Number one, it is part of the teachings of Islam to acknowledge any valuable teaching that comes to a Muslim from any source and regard the teaching as our own, without having to look at the source, rather look at what is being said. And I will share with you two quotes, one from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Prophet of Islam, and the other one is in Ali radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, "Al-kalimatul hikmah ضالة المؤمن حيثما وجدها هو أحق بها." The word of wisdom is the lost property of the believer. Whenever and wherever he finds that, he deserves it the most. And what Ali radiallahu anhu, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon him, said, "انظر إلى ما قيل ولا تنظر إلى ما قال إلى من قال." Pay attention to what is being said to you, and do not look at who is saying it, because our prejudiced mindset oftentimes blocks us from benefiting the treasures of wisdom simply because of the person who is saying it to us. Because our mind is stuck with the one who is saying to us, regardless of its value, what is being said. So this conference and seminar, to me personally, is such the example. Is the example of this. Where Baabul Ilm Society, I congratulate the organizers for this, to put this event together and to call us to come together, where we discuss and explore this exceptional personality, hopefully in the attempt that we all, regardless of our religion and background, would benefit from. And the second thing that I also would like to share on this note is, Muhammad, is that such initiatives as these ones in society such as this one, where people of different backgrounds, faiths and cultures live together, should aim, according to the Holy Quran, تعالوا إلى كلمة سواء. These types of events and gatherings in societies such as these ones is to unite people of different backgrounds on shared values, on common ideals. And this is the teaching of Sikhism as well. It is at the center of that do not divide people on the basis of their differences. Unite them instead on the common objectives. And I hope and pray that this seminar meets this objective. As we hear, there are things to take seriously, take home and transform ourselves, because we are going to be the responsible being and representative of this message since we have heard it. With this, moving forward, dear audience, as far as Guru Nanak Dev Ji Sahib is concerned, indeed, he is very dear and respectful figures to Muslims because of his work. And the time is at the essence to really go in details. MashaAllah, you have heard brilliant speeches before me, and I hope to bring some more light to his teachings and shed some light on that. Baba Guru Nanak Sahib was an embodiment of many distinct qualities, many great qualities. For instance, he was a philosopher, as you have heard Dr. Nasir Zaidi speaking from the philosophical point of view. He was a poet. Nobody really spoke about the poetry of Guru Nanak Sahib. You will be surprised, even he composed poetry not in his native language, even in Arabic language. He was an activist. He was a reformer. And he was a genius. And likewise, he was the sage of his age. And these are some of the very selective words that I have used to describe this very great and broad personality. And as we move forward, Guru Nanak Sahib, he was born, I just want to run you through the biography briefly, because none of the other speakers have talked about much, so probably this will be something to benefit you. So long as Sayyidina Mohammad. He was born in a Hindu family. And despite his being part of Hindu religion and family, he did not limit his studies to Hinduism alone. He expanded his horizon. This shows his openness. He expanded his horizon by studying many disciplines and religions and teachings, and therefore he studied extensively Islam. And there are many life accounts that speak about this. He had several Muslim teachers in his life. Number of teachers who taught him, who were Muslims. Among them was one very known teacher of Guru Nanak Sahib, whose name was Sayyid Sufi Maulvi bin Hassan, who was the teacher of Guru Nanak at a very young age, who taught him many Islamic disciplines. And his quest for knowledge and his quest for truth and spirituality even inspired him and motivated him to undertake vast travels, both national and international. He was a person who mastered many languages. For example, he was the expert in Arabic language, and it is for this reason he was able to very fluently communicate with the people of Arabia when he traveled there. And he also traveled to Iran, and he also knew very well Persian language. So when he traveled outside of India, he traveled to the holy cities of Islam. I was very surprised to know this when I studied his biography from this perspective. He traveled to Makkah al-Mukarramah and Madinah al-Munawwarah, and also to Iraq and Iran. He spent one whole year in Makkah. One whole year. And because of his personality, his spirituality and piety, people venerated him and loved him so much, they appointed him as Imam. So this is very brief. And when he traveled, some of the writers who wrote on his biography, they mentioned that he traveled approximately 30,000 kilometers, and most of them on foot. Most of them on foot. This shows his simplicity, his dedication, and his quest for knowledge and truth and spirituality. As far as his work is concerned, if I am to summarize his work in one sentence, then I would say his mission was all about redressing the wrong in the society. If I am to summarize all of his work in one sentence, I would say to redress the wrong in the society was prevalent at that time. And we can truly appreciate his work only if we understand the conditions of people in India back then during his lifetime. Brothers and sisters, India back then was plagued with countless spiritual and social ills. Countless. To give you a few examples of that, for instance, the powerful ones who had the power oppressing and treating ill the weak. Likewise, people of religion, in the name of religion, following deviant beliefs. Another example, caste system that India was very known for, and even to this day is known somehow, had divided people in such a manner, some inherently were being treated as superior and others as low and inferior. When it comes to women were treated very ill, and not only that, they were made to believe that they are created by God Himself as inferior to men. And when it comes to widow, a woman becoming a widow was a lifelong curse on her. You cannot believe how she used to be treated. And not only that, if somebody is to see a widow in the morning, that they would take it as a bad omen. And she would be forced to sit on the ground. She's not allowed to have any access to any comfort of life. And the very known ritual of sati, which is where she would burn herself with the body of her husband These were the norms of the society back then, more than now. So in the midst of all of these things, Guru Nanak, he initiated his mission because he was very much agitated by all of these types of atrocities and ills of the society. And therefore he took a serious stand against all of these things. If I am to analyze, in my humble reading of his life and his account and work, I would say, as some of the speakers before me have also alluded to, I would say that if you summarize and analyze his work, you will find it revolved around three core points. And I would call them like triple C campaign. One is creed, what we call aqidah. The other one is character, which is self-discipline. And the third is care for humanity, which is, in other words, equality for all. Let's look at briefly at all of these three things. As far as creed is concerned, India, because of the heavy influence of Hinduism, was deeply immersed in idol worship. Gods and goddesses and different objects of worship were being worshipped. And different deities had different occasions of worship. And this is something that really disturbed Guru Nanak Sahib. And therefore he not only rejected utterly all of this, but also he preached monotheism, monotheistic approach to God, belief in one God. And to him, as it was mentioned earlier, God is one unique, eternal, compassionate, and who is also transcendent and self-existent. So this is what he understood as. And speaking of idolatry, which was very prevalent back then, because he came from Hindu family, so he said something that I want to share his quote. He said, idolatry is the giving of divine honor to a creature. People become so superstitious that they attribute to a creature powers that belong to God alone. So this is what he said with respect to idolatry, and this belief of one God is so central to the teachings of Guru Nanak Sahib, as you have heard, the very sacred book of Sikhism, which is Guru Granth Sahib. That book begins with these words, and as they say, Ek Onkar, which means there is no God but except one. So the book starts with this one. That shows the centrality of faith in one God. And therefore, as you have heard, Akbar paying his tribute to Guru Nanak Sahib for reviving this monotheism in Indian subcontinent once again after it was somehow fading away. So this is with respect to the creed. And as far as the character is concerned, Guru Nanak, growing up, observed and noticed that people were widely divided into sects and groups, and they were treating each other as enemies because of their differences. The person may have the best to offer, but because he is different than you, would be seen as a threat, an opponent, an enemy. And this perturbed Guru Nanak Sahib very much, and therefore he centered his message around the notion and the concept of love for all. And then he identified what Pastor Tim earlier mentioned to me. Actually, in my understanding, he identified as the real enemies of a human being. The 5 qualities that he mentioned, Pastor Tim earlier, he identified them as the real enemies. Who are your real enemies? I will share a quote from him, what he said about the real enemies. And he said that there are no real enemies. It is we who make others our enemies. All our enemies are within us. The real success lies in winning over those evil forces working within us. And then he identified those 5 as the real inner enemies of a human being that we need to combat and come over and win them. And at least I will pronounce it correctly this time, as you have struggled with that. So those 5, enemies, the inner evil of the person that he asked us to address and discipline them. Number 1, he said calm, which is lust. Number 2, krodh, which is anger. Number 3, low basically, and that is greed. And number 4, moh, which is attachment to the world, craving for the world. And last is ahankar, pride and selfishness. So these are the real enemies of a human being. There are no real out enemies for you. So if you win them, then you have the world on your side and they will be loving you, because you have disciplined yourself and you see the goodness in others, not only self-centered. And with respect to the third of his point of his teaching, and that is the care for humanity. India, since the time of Aryans who invaded India, and they introduced the system of caste to Indian subcontinent. India had been suffering from that time onwards, with this very unjust system of caste, where one group is seen superior regardless of the corrupt morals, and others are seen low and inferior despite their goodness in them. And this is something that Guru Nanak had taken seriously, because he saw the inhumane treatment of low class to be, scheduled caste, which is basically, if you look at the word shudr, in English it's translated as untouchable. They are not even worthy of touching them. And that some of the texts go as far as even saying those who are deemed as low caste, if they are to hear the shabd, sacred words of the scripture, then melt the copper and pour in their ears. That's how unjust, the prevalence of treatment was back then. And therefore, it really perturbed Guru Nanak Sahib very much, and he developed great compassion from the time of his from the age of his childhood. When he was growing as a child, he observed all of these things, and therefore, he basically centered his teaching on this teaching and principle that equality for all are equal. And with respect to caste system, I will share one of his quotes, what he says in this regard. He says, though they say there are 4 castes, but one God created all men. All men are molded of the same clay. The great potter has merely varied their designs and shapes. And this concept, in order to practically change the system around him and the society around him, he instituted and introduced the concept of langar, the community kitchen, where everyone, without any distinction because of their race, religion, or social and economic status, is welcome to come and sit humbly on the ground next to each other and share the simple meal. Because teachings are teachings. Unless you experience something at that level, you cannot change yourself. Because someone who considers himself superior will never like to do that. But he forced those individuals who deemed themselves higher to sit on the ground next to someone who they deemed as low and inferior. And this is how transformation begins. Prophet Mohammad, peace be upon him, one time one person came to him and asked him, "O Prophet of God, I experience harsh-heartedness in me, although I know it is wrong. What's the way forward? What's the remedy for me?" So look at the teaching, beautiful teaching of Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him. He said, وَامْسَحْ رَأْسَ الْيَتِيمِ وَأَطْعِمِ الْمِسْكِينِ. He said, do 2 things practically, it will change the condition of your heart. One is that feed the orphan. And he said, feed with your own hand. With your own hand the orphan, and pat on the back of an orphan as well. So practicality is what changes us, not just the words. So this is why he introduced this concept of langar, which is an integral part of every gurdwara that welcomes everyone, and this has really here even impacted a lot in our society. Where even I personally know a number of Christian brethren who told me that they go to gurdwara for the very humble, simple meal that they enjoy there. So this is with respect to equality. And he also promoted respect and equality for women. This is something very unusual that people don't talk about. Guru Nanak Sahib was a strong activist and advocate of women's rights in his time. And I will share one quote with you, which was very appealing to me, what he said. To us as men, shake our head and change. He said, man is conceived within a woman. From a woman he is born. Kings are born to a woman. Man is married to a woman. Without a woman, no one can come to this world. Then why call her or consider her as bad or inferior? That is what he said, giving them equal status in the society. It is at the essence of the reform that he brought to the society. Now, in the conclusion, I just want to share a few things. So at the center, you can see his teachings revolved around theological, moral, and social aspect of human life. On this note, I want to, the audience, say the teachings of Guru Nanak Sahib, they are timeless and universal. As much they are related and relevant to us in 21st centuries, equally they were relevant to 15th century when he initiated his mission. So I want to, on this note, share three things with you so that it can resonate with you and stay and you could relate to. Three things that we should be working on. Number one, with respect to idolatry, the emphasis that he had on the belief in one God, I would say we must recognize and we must acknowledge that the idol of the day is atheism and faithlessness. That is the growing religion of the day, where there is a rejection of existence of God. You would be surprised that there are books literally written on the title, God is dead. There are books written under this title, God is dead. So this is the idol of the day. And our future generation are falling to this because of the secularity and secular system. So as much as it is important for us to solidify our faith in God, it is also equally important to defend and also to combat this rising trend of faithlessness in the society. And the way to do so is through education and reason. People have stopped believing in God because they could not rationalize the existence of God. So we need to educate and also rationalize and reason with them so that they could experience and understand that there is a God that exists. And the second thing, on a similar note, is with the rise of capitalism and materialism, our world once again is caught up in the vicious cycle of greed and selfishness. It is this disease that has turned our world into a global casino, where someone's pain is someone's pleasure. People want to make profit out of the pain of others. Our country, thank God, is not like that. But there are countries you would be dying on the bed. They will not treat you until you put money first. So someone's pain is someone's pleasure. And this is what Guru Nanak Sahib talked about. You know, those 5 things that I talked to you about. It is to change. And the way forward to liberate ourselves from this is to discipline our soul. Because we are not just the physical self. There is a soul that lies and that resides within ourselves. Disciplining the soul is the way forward in this regard. And this is why there is one of the beautiful Arabic poets. He says, Ya khadim al-jasad, kam tas'a li khidmati jasadik. Oh, the servant of the self, how long are you going to tire yourself, just serving yourself? Change the dimension and look inside yourself. What is inside you? And then he says, Anta bil-ruhi la bil-jasad insan. You are a human being not because of your physical self, because of your spirit that resides in you. So pay attention to that. Look after that. So changing the soul and disciplining the soul is the way forward. And the last point is, once again, dear audience, discrimination on the basis of race, religion, and ethnicity and gender is on the rise in the world. And it is this that has led people to ill-treat others and treat unequal to others. And this is the problem that is plaguing the world once again, where people cannot even shake the hand with other because he is different than him. And Guru Nanak and his teaching was really focused on this to promote equality for all. So the way forward to change, and the remedy in this regard for us, to see brother in other. To see brother in other. Because, when we see somebody as our brother, our whole approach will change. Not to see other as strangers. Because when we see somebody as strangers, we are reserved, so open up ourselves. But to see others, to see brother in other. This is very interesting. In Arabic language, the word for brother is akh, and then the word for other is akha. So akh starts with first, and then it ends with other. So you have to see brother and other first. So these are the things that we need to relate to. And these teachings, what I shared with you in light of the teachings of Guru Nanak Sahib, they are at the essence of all divine religions. Not only to Sikhism, not only to Islam, all divine religions. So the point is that I want to leave you with one quote from Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam in this regard that sums up and also offers a solution to us, dealing with these issues, these three things that I have mentioned to you just now. He said, he advised us to do the following. اتق المحارم تكن أعبد الناس وارض بما قسم الله لك تكن أغنى الناس أحسن إلى جارك تكن مؤمنا وأحب للناس ما تحب لنفسك تكن مسلما. He said, if you want to be the greatest worshipper of God, then stay away from sins. If you want to be the greatest, not just prayer, stay away from sins. Don't hurt anybody. That is the way forward if you want to be intimate with God. And second thing, what he said, if you want to attain true richness, as there are people who want to be millionaires and billionaires today, but he said, if you want to be a true rich person, then you need to basically learn to be content with what is given to you. In other words, stop greeding, stop this craving for more and more and wanting more. And because this is something this is the disease that has affected greatly the secular society because of commercialism. Because so much so, even look at as Christmas is around, Christmas has been commercialized to a degree, it has lost the essence of it. It has lost the essence of it. So much commercialization around Christmas. Something that was purely religious has become commercial. And the third thing, what he said, Prophet Muhammad is one, that you ahsin ila jarika takun mu'mina. Be good to your neighbor. And that is the sign of your faith. Be good to your neighbor, that is the sign of your faith. وَأَحِبَّ لِلنَّاسِ مَا تُحِبُّ لِنَفْسِكَ تَكُنْ مُسْلِمًا. Wish for humanity what you wish for yourself. In other words, wish the best for others because you want the best for yourself. Thank you very much for your attention.
Jagjit Singh Sikha. He was born in Jalandhar, Punjab. He did his PhD in 1981 in groundwater engineering and from Punjab Agricultural University in India. Dr. Jagjit has served as professor in soil and water engineering for 5 years before moving to the field of mathematical modeling and information technology. He worked in India on various projects related to this field until 1999. In 1999, he moved to Los Angeles and worked on applied mathematics and algorithmic writing. Dr. Jagjit Singh moved to Vancouver in 2018. He has been working on Sikhism for over 20 years. He has written papers, articles, and delivered many seminars on environment, water conservation, nature, and Sikhism. Today, he is going to give a keynote address on Baba Guru Nanak Dev Ji. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Dr. Jagjit Singh.
Well, today is a great day. Because as Dr. Mohammad Tariq has told, it's a great day after 72 years. Kartarpur corridor has been opened, especially celebrating the 550th birth century of Guru Nanak. On behalf of the Sikh community, we thank the Pakistan government and all those who have participated in opening this corridor. Well, news are always there in the papers and everything. Both sides, they have done. To make a few points, the first thing is Guru Nanak's birthday falls on 15th April 1469. So this year, we are totally celebrating the 550th year. Throughout the year, we have been celebrating. Second, I just want to make a small point. The name is Guru Nanak, not Guru Nanak Dev. Dr. Sayyid has, and the earlier speakers have already spoken something about Guru Nanak. The first thing which Guru Nanak clearly mentioned, even in the writings of Sri Guru Granth Sahib, is the sense of God, what God is. He defines and attributes it. The Guru Granth Sahib starts with a letter 1, stating that it is one God only. There is no multiple, nothing. We are not to have any multiple things. The Omkar specifies the continuity, that it is a continuous, and it is not that we have a I put it in a mathematical term, it is a continuous equation, not a discrete equation that is break somewhere and then it continues. So this starts with it. The immediate second word is Satnam, which stands for truthfulness, as Dr. Sayyid has said. It is the absolute truth. And absolute truth stands, which I feel, and as per mentioned in Guru Granth Sahib, we all are existing in the relative time and space category. But the God is in the absolute truth, which does not have any time and space. It is beyond time and space. So this is another thing which we should be taking, and we will come to the back how truthfulness will be achieved. Since he is the only one, so he has no enemy, he does not have any fear from anybody. He is the doer of everything, Karta. He gets everything done through us in this, how he wants to run. How he wants to run everything, it is all through his nature. He is always existent in every form of nature. Whether it is plants, animals, birds, human beings, all the creations which are it is existing, and it, as earlier speaker has also told, that he is always omnipresent. So in all his creations, everywhere. He does not come in the cycle of birth and death. So he is not reincarnated. He is existent, and then he is self-created. He does not have a parent or anything of that sort. It is a self-created existence. How can we achieve it? How can we do it? Here he differs with others, some of them, some of the earlier thoughts, that you have to find him right while you are in existence. You are in living. It is not that after death you will be able to meet him. You have to meet him right. How to? Dr. Sayyid has already told that the first thing is achieving him is achieving the absolute truth. Now, absolute truth will only be achieved if we are always consistent with the relative truth. In day-to-day working, if we tell lies, we are in a habit of telling lies, we are not truthful, we will never be able to achieve the absolute truth. So we have to be rational in our rituals, even everything, any action, what we are doing, are we truthful? If we are not, we are not even moving the path on which we should. If we are not moving, it is for individual to decide which path he has to go, but the truthful path he has to adopt. And slowly, once you are practicing truth, you will be able to achieve that. With this words, I come back to when Guru Nanak was in Sultanpur, when he said this and meditated and whatever, we have the story how he meditated and he achieved that. He said first thing. I personally feel the first interfaith dialogue was done by Guru Nanak at Sultanpur Lodi. He had the Imam of that time, the Hindus of that time, those were the two prevalent religions in India. So he had an interfaith dialogue which we are continuing till date. It was the first interfaith dialogue which Guru Nanak started. He traveled, as earlier speakers told, that 40,000 kilometers. He went to each place, wherever it was a center of faith of each religion, and had the interfaith dialogue with them. He was asked at one stage, who is bigger, Hindu or Muslim? Because those were the two religions. So the answer is already there, written, quoted, that without good deeds, no one is good. So deeds are more important than the faith in which you are. If you are a Muslim, have good deeds, you are a good Muslim. If you are a Hindu, do the good deeds, you are a good. Now, what are the good deeds? We have already discussed that there are 5 vices: Kam, Krodh, Lobh, Moh, Ahankar, have been discussed by both the speakers. These are the vices, and person is controlled by these vices. But these vices are also necessary for running the life also. Guru Nanak never argued that, or never said that we should have a total rejection of these vices. But these vices should be controlled by us. It should be optimized and they should be controlled. We should be not living under the vices, but we should be living above and optimizing. You have to have sex for procreation, for going on of the universe. You require it. You have a self-esteem and ego. There's a thin line here difference. It should not be controlling, we should be controlling. The fundamental theory on which Guru Nanak based was we are equal by birth. Whether it is a woman, whether it is man, or anybody, we are equal by birth. If we go into this concept that we are equal by birth, then you cannot put the woman on the other side, you cannot put even LGBT on the other side, you cannot judge it. Now all the human rights, whichever we are considering nowadays, even the UN Charter of Human Rights, has to base itself on the fundamental that we are equal by birth. The right of education, justice system, any system, whichever we are using for our administration or for our controls or for elections or ruling or anything, have to be based on equality by birth. in all his verses, and even when he traveled, this was the basic tenet which he spoke with everybody. And now we see we are created, I believe, from caste system to an economic inequality system. We have already seen some speaker talking about the capitalism, how capitalism has led to inequality, and that inequality is leading to a difference of knowledge and education even among the youth. We have talked about atheism as a threat that is basically coming from the inequality of education which we are. Guru Nanak gave us another concept of a Shabad Guru. When Guru Nanak was encountered by the Sikhs to ask, who is your Guru? Where do you get teachings? And what do you? The basic thing, and that I feel is true for every one of us, is knowledge is our Guru. We are sitting in a university. Here we have our teachers, they teach, but if they are teaching physics, what is written in physics, that is the Guru. The teacher, whether he is in here or India or Pakistan, anywhere, it is the same physics, but the knowledge gained by the student is the real Guru or real thing which a person gains. With this thing, having the knowledge as the Guru, then it comes to what type of knowledge it should be. Is it the worldly knowledge? And what does this knowledge want us to become? If the aim, objective of the knowledge is to just earn money or use any methods which are against the human rights or anything to create wealth or any type of thing, then that education is not accepted by Guru. The education should be able to produce virtues in your life. It should bring humility, it should bring equality. If a doctor is in his office, he should do his work well. If an officer is there, anybody, whatever he is, the virtues should always form the fundamental or the basis of that he has gained from the knowledge. The information and the knowledge will develop reasoning. That is always, we see in kids also it develops reasoning. Reasoning leads to intelligence, and with intelligence and experience it is the wisdom. So knowledge is the basic fundamental right, and it should form the basis of all equality at every level. He introduced the concept of langar. He has already said about caste, how the caste system was there. It is not that it has totally vanished, it is still there. It is still existing in some of the places. But as I told, it has converted itself into an inequality of economic inequality. People don't get the facilities. Only it is the money, crony capitalism. It is not that Guru Nanak was a Marxist, but with a social justice as the fundamental approach. We are talking of climate change. Guru Nanak already mentioned, unless you are in total harmony with the nature, with every type of creation, You have to consider even the plants as equal. Take care of them. When he says Pavan Guru, the air is the Guru, Pani Pita, water is the father. And think of now the polluted water and polluted air and how we are dealing with it. 550 years ago, he gave you this concept of environment, and in recent days, what we are doing. So the teachings of Guru Nanak are still valid and all over the human race. They are not at all only for sex. It is a living, he was a revolutionary, he was a reformer, he was a rational. Those rituals which do not form the rationality should not be performed. He came into the comparison of many things. While we read his writings, we find a lot against the rituals even, which are useless rituals. Rituals moving towards achieving salvation is totally discarded by it. The salvation can only be done, only be achieved by inculcating the virtues in you. That virtues will come if you are having the knowledge to really think over it and ponder over what is going inside you, how you are. We have talked, speaking about the crime system. The thought process, whenever I think of anything going against the human race, I am already committing a sin. This is as per the action is whether I am doing a crime or not. Whether I achieve that, I have a thought process, I have to steal something. That thought process itself is a sin. I have not done anything, but the thought process is a sin. If I do it, it might be a crime in somebody's eyes, it might not. That is a separate story. That is the law justice system of individual countries and individual communities. But the attitude which I am having in my mind while doing anything is very, very important. Even if I am sharing something, am I sharing or am I giving? If I am giving, I am expecting something. The expectation level is there. But if I am sharing and forgetting about it, that is the attitude which Guru Nanak wants. I should not be expecting. The expectation should not be there. We go to Gurdwaras, even in Sikhs, even anywhere we go, we ask for some favor from the God. That is, we are expecting something. We put $1, we expect that we might get a wealth of $100,000 or $1,000 or something. We expect visa should be there or anything should be there. So expectation while achieving any virtues is totally wrong. And expectation leads to sufferings, as Dr. Sayyid Safdar said. Once I expect something and I do not get it, what is my mental condition? I've started suffering. have started to suffer in one way or the other. Oh, I was to get this thing. Maybe it is my employer, maybe it is my wife, it is my brother, anybody. When you start expecting for a favor and you don't get it, the suffering starts. So with those type of sufferings, which can, if expectations level are very low, that sufferings can be eliminated totally. So it is the thought process which Guru Nanak wanted to change. The thinking, the way we think, the way we look at each and everything around us, that is where Guru Nanak's philosophy comes. We sometimes feel that Kartarpur has opened, maybe this was the Guru Nanak's will at this time. It took 72 years, many meetings were held, but nothing happened. Maybe everybody was expecting too much, or maybe something else. So that is the will of God here. The sun, the other thing, all the universe is the will of God. The day occurs, it is not within us. It is not by us that we control the length of the day, or time, or anything. So there is something which is the will of God, there is something which we have to achieve, and we should be achieving on the basis of the virtues. And our thought process, the mind, what is happening in your consciousness, that is very, very important. If our consciousness, by saying that women are equal, but my actions are not showing it, it has no meaning at all. It has no value at all. So we should be always, whatever it is in the action and whatever it is written or we preach, we should be standing on that. At that time, Guru Nanak even wrote that the Qazis were the main justice system. They had become corrupt. The education centers of Hindus have become corrupt. Is it not that in some countries the same thing is happening? The only thing is we have changed the form of it. We have made a justice system. We have made a police system, we have made other things, maybe not in Canada, but in other places, yes. We are doing it. The favoritism. How come in India, 9 families own 50% of the wealth of the total country? 9 families out of 100 and almost say 1.3 billion people owning 50%. So is it not inequality? Nobody speaks about it. We speak about something else. Where is the Guru Nanak? We are having big functions for Guru Nanak 550th birth, but the concepts of Guru Nanak, unless applied in letter and spirit, have no way of this all function. We might be having a lot of functions in Surrey or anything, but those have to be applied. He was not against, or many times it is preached that Hindus and religion or otherwise anterior, nothing like that. These are just the problems of the mankind, human behavior and human way of thinking. And across the border, all over human beings, it is the same. It has nothing to do with what faith I believe or what, that is a belief system. He broke the belief system of the Hindus. He was born in a Hindu family, as we have already mentioned. They had a strong belief system, Hindu belief system. With the rituals, he broke all the rituals on rationality. Totally on rationality and truthfulness. So we should all ponder ourselves how truthful we are. How many virtues we have, and are we going to achieve those virtues? So this should be the message, and I think in interfaith dialogue, these are the basic fundamental messages, so that the peace, communal harmony, the interrelations among the people, they all fall under this category. And while you are walking, while you are thinking anything, you will find yourself either you are thinking about the past or the present or the future. So living in the present and doing the best was another Nanak's message. When we always think in past and future, we are always concerned, past has passed, you don't have any control. It is already gone. What about future? You have a control? No. So do what at present you can do the best and achieve. So with these remarks, I thank Mohammad Akbar for inviting me and thank everybody to patiently come and listen. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Dr. Jagdeep Singh. You mentioned the importance given to knowledge by Baba Guru Nanak. Our society's name is Baabul Ilm, which means gateway to knowledge. And Prophet Muhammad also emphasized a lot on knowledge. He said, as far as you want to go and acquire knowledge. And at one point he said, I am the city of the knowledge, and Ali is the door of that city. Baabul Ilm means gateway to knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for listening patiently to these excellent talks. And now the floor is open for questions or answers, or if you have any comments.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. As Mufti Shudadli sir rightly said, that there is nothing.
Do you mind introducing yourself, please?
My name is Ramendra Kang. So I work with a radio station here at 1550 AM. I think that's pretty much it for now. I would waste my time on introducing myself. So the thing is that, as Mufti Sahib had already mentioned, that I think there's nothing left to mention about the philosophy and life of Guru Nanak. The august panel of scholars has touched almost every aspect of his life and teachings. I think I have just come to the podium to congratulate Baabul Ilm, because the bane of the modern society is that there's a competition going on to prove that my philosophy is the only philosophy and this is the best philosophy, without even knowing deeply to the philosophy a person is subscribing. And Baabul Ilm is providing an opportunity to open up and start a dialogue amongst different beliefs so that people can understand other religions, the tenets of other religions, and everybody might have surprisingly found out, as Victor Hugo once said, that the sages always speak the same language because they belong to the same land. So because they subscribe to the truth, and truth has no forms, truth is only one. You may say it in any language, at any time, in any region of the world, it will be the same. So that's why Guru Nanak subscribed to truth, and even beyond that, truthful living. So his entire philosophy, the essence of his philosophy is in his one creation that is titled the Jap, from which the Guru Granth Sahib, the holy scripture of the Sikhs, start. And in that, I think he has raised one question, Kib sachiara hoiye, kib akura tukta pao, which means is, how can we be truthful and how the wall of deceit or the illusion can be broken? And he gives an answer, Hukm rajai chalna, Nanak likha na. I'm writing it here that the truthful living and harmonizing yourself with that divine power, or harmonizing, harmony. So that is the essence to achieve truthful living. And as Mufti Shujat Ali Sahab mentioned, that his teachings are still relevant today because what was prevalent in 15th century is prevalent now as well. That's why he said, Kal Kapi Raje Kasai, Dharma Pankh Kar Udreya, Kud Amavas, Sach Chandrama, Disa Nahi, Kya Chadya, which means that the age of darkness is there. Kings have turned into butchers, and it's very difficult in this night of darkness to see the sun of the moon of truthfulness. So that's happening. So king is a ruler, so it may change forms, but it's still there. People are being butchered the world over. People are being violated, human rights and everything. I won't go into details, So for that, with this message, he traveled extensively, about, some people say 40,000 kilometers, 30,000 kilometers, whatever it is. But he traveled extensively to spread that message, and he spoke about the commercialization of religion. The people who make religion a means to fleece other people. That's why he said, Gurupir Sadai Mangan Jai, Take Mool ne lagiye paye. Those who call themselves gurus, peers, but still go begging, don't touch their feet, don't respect them. Kaal khaye ki chhatho de, Nanak ra pachane se. Those who work hard and earn, and at the same time, with their own hands, give something to the needy and the have-nots. Those are the people who are to be respected. So in the beginning, Dr. Tariq Muhammad Sahab mentioned Allama Iqbal. I know he is very much into Iqbalia, and he called him rightly. I think that is most befitting thing. Allama Iqbal said, Guru Nanak, he called him Sadai Tawheed, the oneness of God he always preached. And with that brings in a sense of universal brotherhood. We all the believers say that we are the sons and daughters of God, but still we fight amongst us. There's a lot of controversies going on. And there are 3 pillars of his teachings, that is Naam Japna, that is meditation, Kirt Karni, truthful earning, and one Shakna, and share it with others. That is the essence of Guru Nanak's teachings. And he not only preached it, he role modeled. And that is where Kartarpur comes in. We have been talking about it. In the last 18 years of his life, he lived in Kartarpur and role modeled. He lived the life according to the beliefs, according to his teachings, which are the message he had been giving to the mankind. He practices it. He set up a model. Yes, it's not difficult to lead that kind of life. For 18 years, he led that kind of life at Kartarpur and told people, this is how what I said can be practiced. So that is also one very important aspect of his life, and that is why Kartarpur is so important for the Sikh community and the entire mankind. And when there was partition of India in 1947, that territory fell into Pakistan, and now after 72 years, the government of Pakistan has taken an initiative, and there is a corridor of about 4.5 kilometers, crossing which the devotees, followers of Guru Nanak, would be able to go to that place unrestricted, without having to go through the process of visa and all those kinds of formalities. And that's why it's a great moment for the entire Sikh community and for other people who want to know more about Guru Nanak. So I personally congratulate the government of Pakistan, and especially Imran Khan Sahab, the Prime Minister of Pakistan, who rightly said to make the Muslim community understand, he said, just imagine if you are stranded at a distance of 4 kilometers from Medina and you cannot go there. So this is the same thing with the Sikhs, that their Medina, Kartarpur is like Medina to Sikhs as Medina is to Muslims, Kartarpur is to Sikhs. So he said, if you are standing 4 kilometers away from that place and can't go there, how would you feel? That the Sikhs have been feeling, especially the Sikhs from India have been feeling for the last 72 years. So that's a great moment today for the entire Sikh community as well. So with that, I thank you all for listening patiently. I thank all the scholars here. I again thank Baabul Ilm for bringing us together so that we can discuss all these kind of thoughts so freely. Thank you very much once again.
Stephanie, you all know me from her here. I just want to thank you for mentioning the equality of women. I really appreciate that. But I do have a question. Because the structures of our societies across the globe don't allow for women to truly gain the full knowledge and access to the things that men do, often being dictated by religion. What do you say about those particular things, and how can women break down some of those barriers for themselves?
Please mention the question you directed to who?
Anybody. Anyone who wants to tackle that question.
I will try to answer.
Great.
I agree with you that still today there is a difference between the education of women. Even this year we had a very big conference in June at Vancouver, Women Rights, and I think that was a very successful. So all over the world, when we see the data, we always find that women are less educated. I fully agree, but that is I cannot say that total society can immediately change, but we can try. It should be tried all over the world. I think people are opening up from the last, about when we see about 100 years, women have been coming up in various fields, in various spheres, even in spiritual sphere, I believe. But a long way to go, still a long way to go. And we should all work together for doing it.
What the speaker has said, I mean, it is a undeniable fact what you have raised, and it is mostly because of the cultural influences that people come from. So speaking on behalf of my religion, there is so much emphasis on the education for women that is undeniable. To Islam, it's a divine obligation that women equally participate in seeking knowledge, and therefore Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, said, Baabul Ilm, seeking knowledge is not a matter of choice, is rather an obligation that she has to actively take seriously. So to solve the problem, two things I would say. One is to break away from the cultural baggages that people carry along with them. That is one of the very effective ways. Second is to empower them, putting them at stages, places where those women who are very active, they could serve as a model for others, and to acknowledge them and offering them with awards and honoring them with awards, so that other women who feel kind of away from that type of spirit could also be motivated. To honor them with awards and acknowledge their contribution, and at the same time educate them their role in the religion, how it was before. That would be one of the very effective ways to move forward, I think.
Request Dr. Zareen Naqvi to come and please give a note of thanks. Please come in.
session, so I'll be very short, brief. Thank you for all the speakers. Dr. Tariq, I think you made the day for all Pakistani Canadians and the Sikh community with the Kartarpur discussion. So that was very exciting. We've been watching on the TV all morning, and it is very exciting for all of us, and I'm sure for the Sikh community, and I'm sure they will be very excited to go to Pakistan and visit. Dr. Nasir Zaidi for bringing together views from the Muslim philosophy and religion and weaving it with the thoughts of what the Sikh beliefs are, and with the teachings of Guru Nanak. And I think it was very insightful to learn the depth of thinking that Guru Nanak Dev Ji had. For Dr. Naqvi, for very, as always, very insightful thinking, words, and bringing a different perspective to the teachings of Guru Nanak, and even talking about his poetry and his travels. So that was very good to hear. And of course, Pastor Tim, as always, has different aspects that he brings in, and the teachings of Christianity and how they weave together with the teachings of Sikhism. And thank you, Dr. Sikha, for bringing your thoughts and the keynote address. So I also would like to thank the audience for very patiently listening. And I hope it was useful. This is the purpose that why we put together these seminars, so that people have an opportunity. I learned a lot, and I hope others felt that too, that we learned something about a community that we live with, who are our neighbors, who are very strong members of the local community, that we get to know them better. What are their beliefs, what are their values, and we learn that we are so similar in so many ways. And I think that's the whole purpose of bringing together people and doing these seminars. Thank you for all the volunteers at the back. They are all, the very strong support system that we have, and that's why we are able to do these type of events, not just 2 or 3 of us in my household, but just the bigger community that we draw on. And the last thing I would say, I would like to quote a few words from Hafiz Shirazi, a famous poet, Persian poet and a sage, but I'll just end with his words. He says, "I am in love with every church and mosque and temple, and if I may add, with every gurdwara also, and any kind of shrine, because I know it is there that people say the different names of the one God." Thank you for coming. Thank you.